great condition that any ball that hits and's been kicked over 50 metres, it's going to run and bounce another 20. So you can really make some yards, and that's why I guess Dennis Pagan's set up the way he has. The next challenge is to find that player with the leg speed to run onto it and get the right matchup.
It's a magnificent surface here at Optus Oval. I wonder if the president of Carlton could tell the bloke who runs Telstra Dome about him.
Well,
him down there.
They got the initial one from here, Edwin. It was looking good a couple of years ago, did they not?
There's an interesting game of Russian roulette going on here. You've got Brett Burton and Lappin playing on each other. Burton at the moment is in the goal square as a full-back, and Lappin is just hanging around looking for that free kick from the pack.
Rashudo's been very busy in this second quarter. He gets it out to McLeod, who is dominating now. Up towards Carey and Whitnell wrestling with each other. Allen just knocked it out. Carey's... Tell you what, his presence is being felt up there at the moment. There's a few of them ducking and weaving, and Carey wins out. Does it beautifully, the King. Gets the handball out to Massey. Massey now sets it up. It's an ordinary kick, but Lappin gets back and takes the mark for Carlton.
What you can't do is pinpoint in conditions like this. They've got to get a structure in place where if they've got a top of the square, bang it in there.
It's almost schoolboy-like football here today. Lappin has a bounce. Over to McKay. The handball was ordinary. He kept going, Lappin, and the handball's on. He fell over again. What's he got? Skates on. Here's McLeod. McLeod could punish. He usually does. And he absolutely spanks him. Goal!
Why is it that some players, regardless, most players in the competition slipping, mucking up handballs, double grabbing the footy like these blokes are, then one bloke just steps up and says, I'll show you.
Well, I don't know. Look, I don't want to harp the thing about the boots, but Lappin was like a cartoon character. He was running up and down, and his wheels were spinning there.
Yeah, he's been terrific, McLeod. He's just been clean when others have not been able to pick it up at all.
Adelaide have kicked 5 of the last 6 goals. McLeod, 8 possessions this quarter, 6 inside 50s for the game. He is going very well indeed. And I guess the bonus for the coaches in conditions like these is that you find out who can put the head over the ball. Let's go down to Michael Roberts.
Just follow that up there to quarter time. Matthew Lappin has screw-ins. He's definitely got screw-ins on.
Okay, well, my apologies to Lappin.
There's a close look at them.
Yeah, they are.
Just can't stand up in the wet, unfortunately.
Might be the short screw-ins.
That's a free kick, surely.
McLeod, McKay, through. Here go the Blues to centre forward. Favola had a bit of a jump out of it, and then his opponent McGregor nudged him under it.
He's had Whitnell taken away. Whitnell's now playing on Carey. McGregor has been unpassable.
Just about to break them open here at Adelaide at the moment. Bit of run through the middle. Smart. Carey. Still dangerous. Allen it is. Carey again. He seems like he's been involved in just about every goal. And there's another one. McLeod's got 2. And Carey instigated it with a handball.
There's the double.
There's a school of thought that says when it gets wet and the conditions are difficult that it brings teams back together because, you know, it takes away the opportunity to show their skills. There's also another school of thought that says that the class just comes out and the gap widens even greater. And I think what we're seeing today, particularly not so much all over the ground, but from this man, is that is the case. He is making the rest look just silly at the moment.
It's all about balance and class, isn't it, sport at the end of the day? And McLeod has just shown 2 examples of it. A beautiful kick out of the centre by Shirley, and getting back to take the mark was Whitnell. That's probably been the difference with Lappin having a few opportunities and slipping over, and McLeod being able to hold his feet, regardless of the stops or moulded soles, whatever the case may be. As it comes out to McKernan. First touch coming up for Corey, who's only been on for about 10 or 15 minutes. He goes out to Lappin, and Lappin's got it this time. 6th possession. Has looked dangerous, Lappin. He's been in the right position. That kick was a beauty, straight down the throat of Favola. Tough to kick it from here, though.
He's one of the mercurial types that could, Brendan Favola, every now and then.
First mark, 1 kick, 1 mark so far, and of course Brendan Favola has been able to kick the 1 goal.
That lady there getting a photo of the back end of Brendan Favola.
Well picked.
She's actually getting a photo of the strap in front of the lens there. See what happened there?
She's a long run up for a wet day. Petadakos used to kick off 2 steps in a wet day, but Brendan Favola is running off about 30 metres.
Comes in, shanks it to the top of the square. Up they go. Was he held? No, umpire says play on. Letting it go. Good umpiring there, and we'll have a bounce, will we? Is he blowing the whistle?
Yeah, is he just going on with it a little bit in tight?
Just throw it up, mate.
And he does. So here we go.
I'm happy with that.
Now look how quickly they dissipate there.
Biglands gets it out. Tawney to Edwards, up to the centre wing position. The race is on here. Thornton has to keep his feet, decides to go to the boundary line and disguises it well. They will throw in pretty much on centre wing here at Optus Oval with 6.25 minutes left in the first half of play. 41 plays, 23. And as Brian Taylor said, the Crows have now kicked the last 3 goals of the game and 6 of the last 7.
Franchina on to McLeod too. 17 possessions to the champion, so gets his second opponent, Anthony Franchina.
Biglands, Koutafidis.
Not one of his best.
Not successful.
Wasn't it great to see the umpire pick up the ball and throw it in the air and not waste 15 seconds clearing the packs and then trying to get a decent bounce?
Waving his arm behind him and all that sort of nonsense.
It was excellent, and the players took notice of one thing, and that was that they had to win the ball and forget about all other actions.
Umpire Matthew Head. We'll give him a rap.
Yep, Kerry.
He's been good, Carey.
Oh, look, he's been in everything. Gary, that's gone forward. Shirley. The fly by Perry, unsuccessful. Burns.
It's a
onto the ground.
Perfect Ronnie Burns day.
And boundary throw in forward pocket in the Burns area.
I just reckon Wayne Carey's had a look at these conditions and said, righto, I've just got to compete, put myself there, give him something to kick to, try and create something if it comes along. And his willingness to do that has been sensational.
Very professional attitude by him today. Whitnall just happy to see it back so they could readjust again and get all the defensive areas covered. And there's McLeod, who's set the game alight in the second quarter with the only 2 goals of the quarter. He's had Hume at stages, and now Franchina's there, just tickling up the stomach area. Biglands, Laddams, Carlton in over it, lock it in.
Inside 50s for the quarter. Carlton had 7 for no score. Adelaide 12 for 2-2.
I reckon, Gary, in these conditions, it'd be just great to get everybody else up the ground and put McLeod and Franchina in the 50 and just see how Franchina travels if the ball goes over his head.
Here's Ronnie Burns on his favoured left boot. Kicks it to the hot spot. Probably overbaked it a little bit. Chance for Lance, who thumps for the boundary line and disguised it well enough. Throw in.
Well, I don't think anyone's safe after last night when I saw Robert Murphy get pinged for a deliberate out of bounds. The most staggering thing I've seen for the year, I reckon.
It bounced about 35 times before it got to the boundary line, didn't it? I think even the most one-eyed of Collingwood supporters laughed at that one.
A few of them there.
Camporelli to the boundary line. Over the line, out of bounds.
You've got to ask a question about this forward structure, which was dangerous early for Carlton. They've been inside, I think, 50, Eddie said, on 12 occasions.
That's right.
7 for this quarter and haven't been able to kick a goal.
But it hasn't gone in quickly like this one.
It's not working. They haven't got the pace.
So Massey takes off. Fisher right on him. Fisher worries him and does it well. Locks it in. Over line, out of bounds.
Well, who'd be their quickest players? You'd have Jared Waite, Matthew Lappin.
Sure whether Lappin is explosive quick. I mean, they probably haven't
Murphy
got that.
probably has got a bit of toe.
They haven't got that McLeod type who just puts, not many have, he puts 5 metres between him and his opponent.
McKernan sets himself up, gets the tap. Hart to the boundary line, beats Favola.
I like Waite, though, in that area, because Lappin, I reckon, when he does win the ball on the break in the open paddock, does like to turn back into the play, whereas Waite would continue to run forward.
Is he quick? I don't know, Jared Waite. Well, has he got that good leg speed?
He looks quick and athletic to me. Looks lively quick.
30th stoppage of the quarter so far. Up goes McKernan, can't quite get it out. McCormick on hands and knees, fed it out. It was picked up by Hart, who flicks it over the top to Laddams. Laddams now on the left boot, favoured side, kicks up. There's no one home. He'll want to find the boundary here, and he does. And that is an absolute ripping kick from Laddams, who is growing in stature each week as a player.
This is the interesting stat, the clearances. Adelaide 16 and Carlton 6. And I think that is one of the reasons why they've put some space between themselves and the Blues in this quarter, the Crows. Blues yet to kick a goal in the second term after starting really well.
Allen got the tap. Kick in from Welsh. Up towards Carey, it's punched away. Ronnie Burns running hard at the ball, couldn't quite get there. Ooh, close enough, but Kemp really got the benefit of the doubt on the throw. Now the Blues have got something on. The race is on, but every time it's kicked out in front of the Adelaide Crows. So Fisher sticks his head down and chases, but Massey at about 30 metres on him. Fisher did very well to put the pressure on. That was great play by young Fisher. Over the line and out of bounds by Waite. So a couple of the young Carlton players starting to have a real go for them this afternoon. Throw in on centre wing as Waite gets a pat on the head from Camporella. A great chase by Fisher. Throw in on centre wing. We've got just under 4 minutes left in the quarter. The Blues need to get one back. McCormick, good play under the pack. Kicks up towards McCoon, who's being held. Surely no, says the umpire. Here's a chance for Murphy if he can get it out. Magnificent tackle there for the Adelaide Crows. I'll wait to see who it was getting up.
I think it was hard, Ed.
I think it was. Yeah. Have a look at this. No, it was Bickley. And just great stuff by the two-time premiership captain.
Ball up, half forward for the Blues. Can someone for Carlton capitalise on the good work that they've put in the last couple of moments? Ball to the boundary. Just over 3 minutes remaining in this first half of football. Andrew McKay has had a big influence on the game today.
Haven't scored a goal, Brian, since the 18.5-minute mark of the first quarter. The Blues, in that time, Adelaide have kicked 3.
Yep, got the last 3. Adelaide 2 in this quarter, and John Cock the last of the first quarter. Clark in ruck with McKernan. Houlihan, who's spent time on the bench here today, we'll have another ball up. About the 32nd or 33rd stoppage of the quarter. And there is the Carlton bench. Matthew Allen on the right-hand side. Hume, who's done a little bit of work alongside Andrew McLeod today. Hickmont's there as well. Hart charging, but not winning the ball. McCormick in there. Stendline. Beaumont wanted it, so he dived on it and then was unable to extract it out.
Talk about the clearances, Jared, and how well Adelaide have done. Good reasons for that. The ruckmen have been very good all year.
Carlton yet to register any type of a score in this quarter as the ball goes to their end. Murphy gives the Blues a chance. Fisher out in front. Desperate play by Massey. Soccer tactics being employed by Adelaide. McGregor had Murphy running straight at the hips there. It was good play. Fisher and Burton marks on the last line of defence. Last time Carlton was scoreless in a quarter was round 2 last season against Sydney at this Oval. And it may happen again here with just under 2 minutes remaining in the quarter if Adelaide don't concede. Hart out wide, so some pressure mounting here on the Adelaide Crows defence. Clark tackled high. Houlihan. Soccer off the ground by Massey just to get it out of the danger zone to the wing, and he did well.
Massey might have fairly Jared, but just on the rucking situation. Number 1 in the competition, the Crows. The Blues down just at number 9, but with Clark and Biglands, always giving them a chance at these clearances.
Tudafiti's doing the ruck work there. Has a second go. McCormick over the top will have another bounce.
I think the most promising move is that if they can get Justin Murphy close to the goals, I think he's the most genuine goal kicker they got in their side. He can smell a goal and he can generally deliver.
Frivola got it down. McKay close to the boundary line. Over it goes for a throw-in.
You just have a look at it now. Corey McKernan's the man inside 50, closest to goal with McGregor. He's about 45 metres out. Now, if it goes over their head, I'm afraid Corey's not going to win the race back. So you just got to try and structure up a bit differently.
Houlihan tries to squeeze the kick out. Smart over the top.
Just tell me why in that situation, Gary, though, where Carlton have got some really good paddock play going here today, why Adelaide wouldn't sit a player back in that area?
I think it tells you the Gary Ayres mindset, Brian. And Jared alluded to it earlier as the duck gets stuck into it, but he's very much a one-on-one man all over the ground. And not too often he gives a player the licence a la Adam Simpson, who sweeps back in that role off his own back very well. I think Gary Ayres much prefers him to play man-to-man, and he's just getting in not running clearly.
Just enjoying himself. At the end of the day, Adelaide are 3 goals up, and Gary Ayres would have the last laugh. As we continue to have these ugly scrums. Gary, your point on pace is well
Stay on
made.
Carey. It's far more A lot more fun.
Matthew Lappin, because Ronnie Burns comes onto the ground, they've had to take Matthew Lappin from an attacking wing to a defensive back pocket.
I think actually if we keep the cameras on Carey, we'll let you know if they get away from the scrum. We'll cut back to it.
It is a mauling scrum at the moment.
It collapsed then in the scrum, didn't it?
It did, yeah. And luckily they haven't played time on because we might just get to half-time and reload here. Disposals, 150 at Adelaide, 100 to Carlton, so well on top. 5 seconds left. Carlton are going to go through a quarter for the first time this year without a score. And we'll have a throw-in with 1 second left on the clock. And it has certainly been all Adelaide as far as the scoring is concerned. 6 of the last 7 goals scored for the Adelaide Crows. Blues haven't scored since the 18.5-minute mark of the first quarter. That's a goal, of course. They scored one behind late in that first quarter. And at half-time, they have the job in front of them, trailing by 18 points.
And that man has been the big story today. Wayne Carey back after an operation, and he has looked outstanding, as has Andrew McLeod, Gary, because together they have got Adelaide 3 goals ahead at half-time.
Indeed, it is the Blues, 18 points behind Adelaide. 3-5-23 Carlton, Adelaide. Welcome back to Optus Oval. Been a low-scoring affair here in the first half. It is the Adelaide Crows 6-5-41 leading Carlton 3-5-23 scoreless for the first time since when, Brian? Just off the top of your head.
Well, I think it was about round 2 last year. That's the Blues. Scoreless in that second quarter. Goal kickers there. Camporelli 2, Favola 1. McLeod was sensational in the second quarter, kicking 2, and John Cock got his 2 in the first quarter.
They've looked a little more dangerous up forward. Certainly early in the game, Carlton's forward set up with the paddock in full vogue created a few problems, but it dried up pretty quickly. And Adelaide, on the other hand, had a nice mix of tools and smalls. Carey was giving them something, and then you had the likes of Laddams and John Cock bobbing up for a couple.
Yeah, as I said, John Cock was very good in that first quarter, but it was Laddams that were able to get the first score on the board here with the help of Carey. I just remember just about every goal that's been kicked in the game so far, Carey seems to be involved in some way in setting it up, and it was Laddams who's always dangerous in these conditions. He was good. John Cock pushed off the ball there, but he was able to recover, keep himself in the contest there as Welsh was able to get the ball long, and then of course John Cock was down there to get himself into a good position, as you see Perry finishing off as well.
Yeah, John Cock has given Andrew Mackay something to think about. You see Mackay there, he was going to the marking contest and left John Cock on the ground. I think Jared pointed out the spoil wasn't all that great when it went back into a dangerous area and created that goal. But really, the story of the game so far is this bloke, Andrew McLeod, who I think at one stage I might have said that there was a bit of a lull in proceedings. Someone needed to lift it up and break it open, and who better than Andrew McLeod? 17
disposals, 6 inside 50s and 2 magical goals in what have been trying conditions. He set the game alight. He scored the only 2 goals of that second quarter at the 14-minute mark and the 16-minute mark, and it was the break that Adelaide had needed, and all of a sudden they look like they're controlling the game pretty nicely indeed.
Yeah, we saw a few Carlton players slipping over and double handling with some of the very good players in the competition, but it just highlights just how good this fellow is.
What is it, a balance thing? Or?
Balance for sure, really goes to ground, but it's his ball handling that's impressed me most. I mean, he's so clean. I mean, he makes good decisions. He realises, have a look at this, just one grab, pulls away, inevitably hits a target or goes long at the right time, and well, he's just an exceptional player, Brian, and there's one of those occasions that he didn't go to ground, and Wayne Carey sets him up here beautifully. That is a great give. And those two, you think are going to have a pretty good understanding and have a bit of a say come September.
Combination, they've been very, very good indeed. Kerry's been in amongst just about every goal.
Scott Camporelli started the game like a bomb, kicked the first 2 goals inside a couple of minutes, and he's ended up with 15 possessions in the first half, gone inside 50, or put the ball inside 50 on 4 occasions for the Blues.
Look, kicked the first 2 goals of the game for the Blues, and they looked really good. They had a nice forward line, they had it nice and open. Jared mentioned that they had plenty of room there going forward. Camporelli not only kicked goals, but he was able to gain possessions, got 10 in the first quarter, Camporelli. Spent time on the bench for some instructions by Dennis Pagan, but nevertheless he was very dangerous, but faded a little as the game went on.
You've got to find an avenue to goal somewhere at the Carlton Footy Club. Matthew Lappin shapes as perhaps their most likely contender, but gee, he had some problems. So much slipped over. Michael Roberts told us he had the right boots on, but he just lost his footing on a couple of occasions. Just that one, double grabbed that one, and I guess in these conditions, players that are human can make those errors. This was almost comical. You had this one stitched up, but as can happen, Brian, you just lose your feet at times.
Look, it's really wet and greasy, but he seems to be falling over more than most at the moment. You can see he controlled the bounce there, but you know, Michael Roberts reported that he had the long stops in, or the screw-ins in, but they may have been the shorty screw-ins from the look of that.
Well, indeed. The big one here, uncontested possessions. Have a look at that. 79 to Adelaide, 39 to Carlton. They are just working so hard. They can't get the ball out into space. Their setup at the moment probably doesn't allow for it.
And the marks, 26-14, Gary, just showing the aerial superiority of the Adelaide Crows to this stage of the game.
Well, still the margin is only 3 goals in today's conditions. It might be worth more, or closer to 5, you would imagine. So a bit of work to do for the Blues. We'll take a break and update you on the other scores going on around the country. You're watching Sunday Football. half-time here at Optus Oval. 3 goals. The Adelaide Crows in front. 6-5-41. The Blues 3-5-23. Campbell's got 2 for Carlton. McLeod and John Cock have got 2 each for Adelaide. Another big game going on down at York Park in Launceston. It is Fremantle up against Hawthorn. Let's take a look at the first half highlights.
Smith pounces, kicks inside 50. Holland was hoping, ball eluded him. Good handball, Dixon to Legas. He shoots it through for the Hawks first. Ball back into play. As we said, Simmons starting up forward. Down to Pavlich, uses some pace and some space. Wow. And slots the goal.
Barely the 15, went to number 15. Hodge swings it around the outer side. Wonderful kick. Rawlings. Smith, forward of the wing, looks inside the 50. Coming on the lead is Dixon. Hands to it, couldn't hang on. Chance for Crawford, aided by a good shepherd from Vandenberg. Kicks the goal.
Sandlands, 3 come at him. Ran into a pack. Ball falls to Cox. High kick inside 50. Chance for the Leapers. 4 go up. No one comes down with the ball. Back to Cox. Over the tops, Lekas. Ball will bounce to him. Sees the goal. Looping handball. Crawford. Crawford. Crawford.
Hayes stood up at a tackle. Farmer couldn't control it. Comes to Cook to Farmer. Goes with the outside of the boot. Too clever by half. Hazel beat a Pavlich. Can he kick his second? 52 metres out. It's working back on the breeze. Medhurst did well. Crumbed behind by Stone. Well, half crumbed. Well done, Medhurst. Got it to Bell. Runs into an open goal and kicks it.
Little handball over the top to Cook. Now back to Shammer. They've worked it well. Bell takes the mark, 48 from goal. Plays on, inboard, through the corridor, kicks the goal.
Sandilands directs it down. Coming across on the angle, Lekas was taken high. He may have kicked the goal anyway. Crawling after it, Shammer. Picked up by Crawford. Brilliant hand pass. Lekas runs inside the 50. It bounces once and goes through for a goal. Lekas on fire. He's got 3.
Dockers have the numbers back. Dixon had a couple of bites of the cherry. Vandenberg sprints clear. McManus corrals him well. Got the handball back to Hodge. High kick by Hodge. Oh, the pack got crunched. Play on. Sandlands. Longmuir. Sidestep. Goal! Smith with that breeze wobbles it and wobbles it long to Graham. Wants to play on. Grover comes at him. Graham sails it over the goal umpire's hat.
They are well into the last quarter down there at York Park in Launceston. We're going to put up a progressive score. If you don't want to know, we suggest you look away right now. Here at Optus Oval, it is the Crows 6-5 up against the Blues 3-5. We'll take a break and be back with all the second half action on Sunday football. Every member is
Welcome back to Sunday Football, and the Blue Baggers, well, they're nice and rugged up and ready to play. Certainly the supporters are. Let's hope the team comes out red hot and fired up too, Gerard Healy, because they haven't been able to score a goal in that second quarter of football. They trail by 18 points. A margin is not insurmountable, but goals at a premium because the Blues have only kicked 3 of those goals for the whole first half.
And when you consider they kicked 2 in the first 3 or 4 minutes of the game, they've virtually kicked 1 goal and a half of footy, so they've got to reconstruct, and they've also got to nullify some of the Adelaide better players, and I think that Brett Burton has been one of those, Brian, and Nigel Smart I think has been outstanding across a half-back line as well, but Burton, he's a player that we just haven't seen the best of just yet, and these conditions aren't his preferred, but he's been an outstanding player. He's got plenty of clearances, and he just is a player that if you can afford to have him up on a wing, you know you've got great depth in your forward line. 16 touches in that first half for Burton, and been a welcome return for him. Biglands has been important. You can see Burton getting around the end so often. He's done it off half-back, moves to half-forward, can play anywhere and probably play a major role in the outcome of today's game. Ed, we spoke a lot about the players' ability to keep their feet, and at half-time Gary and Brian looked and highlighted Andrew McLeod and Matthew Lappin. I get the feeling that one of the great differences for players that do tend to slip over is just purely flexibility. Andrew McLeod can run almost flat out when he's bent over, whereas Matthew Lappin has to sort of
turn his body sideways.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go down to Michael Roberts' boundary side.
Well, thanks, Ed. And that 3 goals up there is worth 6 goals. It is very, very heavy down here, that's for sure. Now, we finally found out why Barnaby French didn't start today. He's got the flu. And I also just spoke to the doctor. Mark Visciuto had blurred vision for a good 15 minutes. They were really worried about him. He is starting in the centre. He's okay now, so that's good signs for the Crows.
All right, well, Gerard, just before we get underway in this third term, the Blues, they're a no-trick side, really. They've straight got to go hard at the ball. Is there anything that you can conjure here for the Blues to be able to do something a bit different? They've pushed Murphy forward.
Well, he's the one. I think he's capable of kicking multiple goals, but they've got to get the ball out of the centre. Start of the second half, Adelaide by 18 points. Whitnell on Carey should be a jewel to watch in this second half. Stenglein closing on the ball here. Didn't win it, John Cock. No one inside the 50 at all for Carlton. They're all up, 4 to the ball almost. McLeod, beautiful left foot kick, inboard. Perry almost stretching. Whitnell lucky to get boot to ball. You can see the puddles of water forming under the players' feet. Carey from the standing start would have been a goal. John Cock will kick it. Thought it was almost through, but John Cock will kick his 3rd goal if successful. Carey once again.
He's got the swagger back, hasn't he, Big Wayne?
Well, I tell you, the thing about as a forward, everyone says, oh, you got to go for those because you're not quite sure where the goal line is. Give me spill, mate, Carey. Give me spill.
He's marked that in the 3rd row nearly, isn't he?
I thought he did too. Now look, these conditions mean you've just got to get the ball down straight onto your boot.
This is no certainty.
It is not a certainty. For his 3rd goal, John Cock comes in
Certainty.
to crease the angle, and guess what? Adelaide have kicked 4 in a row.
I guess with a pretty dry footy, it should have been a certainty, and I think you can see there, Graham, John Cock with a dry smile on his face. He knows that Wayne Carey won't be all that pleased, but they're the sorts of things you debate at the bar, at the airport after a win.
He couldn't really care less, but I mean, he just would have liked to have seen it sail through. It was a terrific snapshot, let's be honest. They should be certainties, these goals. If you think it through, take your time. He could have come up another probably metre and a half then, but he got the result.
So the Blues Adelaide have now kicked 7 of the last 8 goals of the game, the last 4 in a row. Once again, they go forward, and it's starting to look ominous now for the Blues. This could be absolutely blown apart in the next 10 minutes unless they can get something going here.
The thing is, with the weather, Ed, you'd imagine that there's some more rain coming, so if they do slot through another 3 or 4, and then it starts to bucket down, just pack up.
Literally or just in the back line?
Pack up.
Massey over the top to Bickley. Good strong bodies, the Adelaide Crows. That's dropping the ball, though. Surely that was dropping the ball. Well, he had prior opportunity, he didn't handle and he didn't kick, so what could it possibly be?
That rule has totally changed since the start of the year.
Now, they do say if the ball's knocked out in the act of the tackle, it's play on, but come on. McKay, here's a chance for Lappin. Leg speed all important, as Gary said. Hart, though, beat him for speed and beat him for strength in the end. Fell over again, Lappin, and the turnover is going to cost because Smart will kick from 45. He's missed it, though. He's hooked it. Carey comes across the front. Carey's got it. Carey missed it. What happened there? Here it goes again. Well, John Cotter, he stopped it as well. Carey's going to have another go. He squares it up. Touch play on, says the umpire. Shirley's there over the line.
Surely he could kick it through.
It's got a free kick for deliberate. Can you believe this? Now the umpires are joining in. Get the Benny Hill music out.
Comedy capers it off.
Yeah, and airy, the duck.
Kick, and the mark's been taken by Stengline. The kick came in quickly from Laddams. It was a beautiful kick. Well, have a look at this. Is this deliberate? Oh, you can't just let the bloke grab it and run at the goal. He's got to hit it somewhere. Surely.
Jeez.
Carl Norman, how stiff is he?
Carl.
He was stiff, but I reckon it was deliberate.
Oh, yeah, but he's deliberately hit it away from the bloke.
Still deliberate.
Oh, what was he supposed to do? Hit it,
What were
hit
his
it over head?
alternatives?
Push it down.
To grab the ball and be tackled.
Oh, gee. Well, I'm feeling that was more Uncle Norman than Carl Norman, but anyway. Stengline comes in to just about kill this game off and does.
Well, it's all in the interpretation, and it's just how literally you want to interpret.
Yeah.
No doubt that Norman wanted to get this ball to the boundary. There's just a little comedy of errors here. No one could get boot the ball for a couple of minutes. When they did, it just went straight up in the air.
He's punched the ball.
Yeah, he did punch the ball. He knew where the boundary was. He knew the safety was there. There was nothing else he wanted to do but get it out. It's just how literal you wanted to interpret it.
A 30-point advantage for Adelaide very early in this third quarter. Rain has ceased here momentarily, but dark clouds are closing. So it could be curtains for the Blues if they don't respond in the next 10 or 15 minutes. McCormack trying to affect the extraction out of the middle. Unsuccessful, and we'll have another ball up. So Carlton have not kicked a goal since the 18-minute mark of the first quarter. In fact, they have not kicked a score for quite some time. May have been the last scoring shot, the goal by Favola, his 100th at the 18-minute mark. As we have another ball up, Stacks on, which was the flavour of the first half here. We had an enormous amount of stoppages in that second quarter as the game started to close down a little. .30-point advantage for Adelaide. Kick inside 50 for Carlton. For the first time this half has been marked by Bassett. The sideways kicks. Remember, no rain at the moment, dry ball, able to do just a little more with the ball than they would have been otherwise. Hart, Rashudo, sure ball handling.
So Rashudo had a poke in the eye in the first quarter, kicks on, Carey in position. Couldn't quite get up to get that one. Biglands crashes through. Handball has been intercepted by Camporelli at the Beaumont on his left boot, just squeezes the kick out. Murphy looks into the middle of the ground, finds Waite. Waite dropped it. Held it for a long time. Now he gets it back to Murphy. Can't get past Tawney. Tawney does well. Kept his feet. Gets his pants pulled down. The shootout to the boundary line.
And they're calling deliberate.
Well, that wasn't deliberate. Garrett?
I'm just waiting for the replay, Eddie. I was actually having a look at the stats. Yeah, no, he wouldn't have paid that.
No.
Wouldn't have paid that as deliberate.
Massey at the back. Here's Fletcher. Gets around his opponent but runs back into trouble. Burton has been very good today around the body, but he puts it straight back to Fletcher. Almost whacks him. Oh, high up and under. Good luck here. Hume has to fly. Lappin at the back. This time he's held his feet. Favola's on him to square if he can get there. The kick was to the wrong side of the pack, though. There were two Blues on the left-hand side. And the Carlton crowds go up because that's their first score since the first quarter.
I wonder whether this, with the weather just dry at the moment, whether Brendan Favola to the goal square might be a bad option for at least 5 or 10 minutes. Give him a chance against Bassett to play a bit more conventionally. Let's face it, the goals have dried up. They're going to have to try something different.
Hart just receiving some attention from the trainers as well as Stengline. Just as out to Massey. Long ball to Carey. One-on-one. Whitnell. Whitnell wins out this time. The recovery. Thornton there in support. The handball probably unnecessary. Kurtafidis attacked by 3. Through comes Biglands. Pushes the ball forward.
Been impressive, Red Biglands. He's a player that has just continued to improve 10% a year. And they've got themselves a fine ruckman now, the Crows.
5 unanswered goals for the Adelaide Crows. 8-5-53. Carlton 3-6-24. We've played 8 minutes of the third quarter. Smart. Adelaide into attack. Hart. Lappin. The contest. Franchina was in amongst it. The tackle on Hart. Highish tackle there, Shirley. Free kick. Will go Adelaide's way to Shirley. Adams. May have been Gallagher, in fact. Kicked the ball forward. Welsh couldn't mark. McKay. Off hands. Under enormous pressure at the moment. The Carlton defence. And this is why, because Adelaide are having a real close. Just possessed free kick. Crowd goes up. Advantage paid.
7 free kicks apiece. Here's a chance now for Favola. Can he keep his feet? Show a bit of soccer skills. Will he keep his feet? 1 out of 2 ain't bad. Over the line, out of bounds. Throw in front of the George Harris Social Club stand here at Optus Oval.
And Brendan Favola knows there was a missed opportunity. Here's the Beaumont tackle on Nigel Smart. Went round a player, took away his prior opportunity rights, and right onto it, the umpire.
Good decision. Throw in. McKernan does the ruck work. Shoved Biglands out of the way. Got the kick to the hot spot. No one there for Carlton. It's picked up by Smart. Clearing kick is a thumping kick and a big chance now for the Birdman. Burton runs after it, but the ball stays in play. So Burton does it well. Murphy put himself out of the contest. He almost was 10 rows back by the time he ran around him. Up towards Thornton. Laddams has been good today. That was a magnificent handball to Burton, who kept running. And Murphy didn't go with him.
He may be lucky to stay on the ground.
Beautiful mark taken there by Scott Welsh. Burton's had 20 touches now.
He's been excellent, Brett Burton, on that wing. He's been running up and down that side of the ground all day. He's got magnificent fitness, and right now, if Justin Murphy is his opponent, then the question would have to be asked.
And Brett Burton reinventing himself up the ground. He had 29 disposals last week, including 8 marks and 3 goals, and today he's up to 20 already.
Just emphasises their talent, and I reckon that's why they're the biggest smoky at the moment for September.
Welsh comes in, sliced through it, didn't get a good purchase on the ball at all, and it's just got through for a point.
If you've got enough depth, Gary, to have Brett Burton up on the wing, you know he can go forward, he can go back. He's a very good utility.
It's a great spot for him too, Jared. You know, I'm a fan of the wing, and I reckon he suits it beautifully.
Camporelli, the kick in. Hume went down but recovered the mark. Wastes no time. Realises the importance and the urgency of scoring. Bassett though marks. McGregor wide, and here is that man that Jared and Gary have been speaking about. Burton. Into the middle. John Cock needs protection. Didn't get it in any way, shape or form from Bickley. McCormack. The back half of the centre square. Long ball, Lappin. 1 out, genuine contest. Hart. Fletcher was on the inside of the ball. Allowed Hart to skirt the outside edges. Do it very easily in defence. Adelaide at the moment. Burton again. Another possession. Racks them up. Massey, the former Blue. Chris Massey in his 66th career game. In the defensive 50 for Adelaide. They lead it at the moment, 54-24, 30-point advantage. Off hands, Franchina, Biglands, Whitnell, bit of volleyball action on there. The man that took them apart in the second quarter, McLeod, dumped. Kurtafidis extracts, Wait, the centering ball to the hot spot. Not successful in the air, Lappin. Hume roves it front and centre beautifully, kicked offline. Just the minor score for the Blues. Still yet to kick a goal since the 18-minute mark of the first quarter.
Anthony Kurtafidis maybe to the goal square. Should have kicked that, Darren Hume, be shattered with that. But Kurtafidis had Stegline for most of the afternoon. Maybe put him to the goal square for 10 minutes. Give him a chance to win one out. Just repeat, they have to do something to swing this around to give themselves a chance of winning the game.
The Blues just can't get those goals that can break a game open, can they, Owen? They get the opportunity of just missing them. In the meantime, have a look at this. Nigel Smart was 25 metres clear on centre wing, and now the ball is in pretty much in the goal square for the Crows. Good thump across the top of the pack there from Thornton, I think it was. And we'll have a throw in.
Well, the game at the moment is just about out of the grasp altogether. So wouldn't you try and do something before it is? And this wrestle went on. That wrestle then went on for another
And W.
minute
Carey
and a half.
just made sure that no one joined in. And look at that.
Well, you might have a look at that again. I missed that myself. Yeah.
We'll get that for you next throw in. There'll be a few more before the game's over, I'm tipping. Forward pocket for the Adelaide Crows. McCormick tried to get it out for Carlton. Here's a second go at it now. Fired up Andrew McLeod's not giving much away. We'll have another bounce. We're 35 metres out.
There's Wayne Carey. Young
Waite.
Jared Waite.
Bigland's got the tap. Chance for Carlton to clear through Carl Norman. Norman's kick up the middle of the ground, but they're awake up to this, the Adelaide backmen. They're just running straight at the ball. Bassett got it out to Massey. Massey kicks long up towards the half-forward flank position. Big thump away there from Norman again. It spills down to Fletcher. Around the body he goes. Bassett is there, takes it to the boundary line. Throw in. We've been going for nearly 14 minutes in this third term. Carlton have not been able to score a goal since the 18.5-minute mark of the first term. And Adelaide have been able to kick 2 goals this quarter to extend their lead. 54-25.
That statistic about the disposals will be even more inflated after today.
Camporelli clearing kick out of the heavy traffic. Sets Lappin a task. Deep in the pocket. Unable to turn. Goes to ground in collection of the ball. And we'll have a boundary throw in deep in Carlton's forward 50.
There's 63 more touches. And they're labouring and working very hard for their goals, the Blues. Remember, they kicked 2 inside the first 2 minutes of this match. They've had 1 since.
McKernan, Kurtafidis, Beaumont on the right boot. Can it be? No, it can't. And another minor score for the Blues.
Well, what Lou used to say, when you're hot, you're hot. And when you're not,
you're not. And the Blues cannot nail a goal at the moment. 26:54. 14 minutes played, just the 9 minutes left of the quarter. Adelaide have been pretty good in defence in this quarter.
Great kick, that was a great kick off the left foot.
Massey has control of it. Carlton Social Club flank, goes backwards with the ball to Bickley. The former skipper, wide to Smart, marks just inside, one would think. Carlton supporters say no, but the boundary umpire, I think, was a long way away.
well, the goal umpire and the boundary umpire were probably equidistant from where it was, and there was 45 metres either side.
Fortunate for the Crows, McGregor,
who's been very good this season. It's another one of these players who hasn't quite got the profile of some of the bigger names in the Adelaide Crows side, but just as effective. Jared, you'd say?
I think you're right, Ed. He's just a bloke that's never had a big reputation here in Melbourne, but he's just slowly built a career at either centre-half back or at times as a key forward.
22 years of age, 195 centimetres and 90 kilograms. He's a big boy.
He's still just coming into really that period in his career where you expect to play his best footy.
Probably the Blues' best 10 minutes since the start of this game without having put it on the scoreboard. Look, if they can get 1 or 2 here, just coming into three-quarter time, then the door's still open. They've sort of closed Adelaide down over the last 10 minutes, so this next 10 minutes, crucial.
Bit of a push in the back there from Allen. Umpire didn't pay it. They're not paying much in the back today. Curta wraps up the tackle, over bounce. 25 metres out from the Carlton goal. The Blues brain thrust there with Tony Elshaw sitting alongside Dennis Pagan. Over the line, out of bounds again.
Saw a game yesterday, Ed, at St Kilda and Melbourne. There was 14 or 15 free kicks paid in the last quarter, and we had 1 central ball up. There's been 7 free kicks apiece here today, and in these conditions, we're getting ball up after boundary throw in, heaps of stoppages. And I reckon you'd just halve them if you gave the first free kick that was there. Keep the game open, keep it flowing.
Massey and Rashido, ball over the line and out of bounds.
and there is the Adelaide bench. Ronnie Burns, Tyson Edwards, Gallagher there as well, and Perry. And 73 ball ups or boundary throw-ins today. Quite an unbelievable statistic. 73 times the ball has been in the umpire's hands. Clark, Prosciutto, McLeod, One of the rare fumbles from McLeod. Allows Camporelli to kick the ball long. Not a lot of support there for the Blues. Smart, a wonderful trap using leg and hand. The no-look handball was not effective. Hume dumped it off in hope. But once again, Adelaide get numbers back deep in defence. And they'll take it out uncontested. Massey at half-back. They've got to find something up forward, the Blues. And quickly, Laddams, quick to react after missing the initial mark. Carey, the beautiful little side tap out to John Cock. John Cock can kick goal number 4. Wayne Carey, you are a marvel. John Cock, a great finish.
Well, I reckon Graham Johncock's going to thank Wayne Carey more than once before this season's out. He's a smart player, Gerard.
I just can't believe that Wayne Carey didn't get a free kick. He didn't take possession of the footy. He's been dragged to the ground. Now, you pay the advantage, fair enough, but that's the reason we're getting 14 free kicks.
Yeah, probably is, but it was also magnificent play.
Yeah, it is. It's a great goal.
Yep, and John Cox got 4 in a low-scoring game. He's having a big influence on this.
The Carey-John Cock combination coming up with 2 goals in this quarter. Adelaide have now kicked the last 6 of the game and the last 9 out of 10 goals scored. And as we, without labouring the point, the Blues haven't kicked a major since the 18.5-minute mark of the first term. We're now at the 19.5 of the third. Wait. And it's been a long one for Carlton. Allen high up and under. Flying with the ball with courage. There was Camporelli, got crunched. Diving in on top of it there for the Crows now is Shirley. Stenglein in there off the ground went Burton. Massey's been excellent today until then. McKay thumps it long. Murphy under pressure again. The kick comes forward. Crows defence just happy to get it out. Hume took the mark. Chip to the pocket. And Favola has it. Plays on straight away, kicks it back to Lance Whitnell. It was a big kick though. He could have actually dropped it a bit shorter and let Lance run into it so he could take the mark, but Lance is going to have to kick at 55.
Might stretch Lance on this occasion. They're going back to a bit more of a conventional structure of the Blues forward line.
He's only kicked 7 goals this year, Big Lance.
And now he's kicked 8.
Beautiful kick and goal for Lance Whitnell and Carlton.
Because it posed a question, Jared, if they're going to win the game, Big Lance has got to go forward and see if he can't create a few of these and kick a couple himself, because it's no good just going along and getting done by 4 or 5 goals here.
No, I think Dennis Bacon has acknowledged that. He's put Beaumont onto Carey. He's moved Big Red into the forward line, and they look more dangerous with Red up there.
Murphy gone to the goal square to play out of the square. Yeah, it just gives him a bit of chance, I reckon.
Lance Whitnell has goaled with 5 minutes remaining in the quarter and gives the Blues just some hope. They're within 28 points. McLeod out of the middle. Kick up to the forward line. Free kick paid here to go Carlton's way against John Cock, who, by the way, with his 4 goals today, his biggest haul of his career.
Murphy, Favola, Koutafidis and Whitnell now in the forward half. That's a far more dangerous looking forward line.
Revitalised in just a couple of seconds, the Blues. Can they hold on to that for the remaining few minutes of this third quarter and gain something out of it in the way of score?
You throw Lappin down there as well, a proven goal kicker for these last 5 minutes.
So you just go for everything now, Gary?
Go for everything. I mean, you don't die wondering, Brian.
Okay. Temptation, though, Gary, from the point of view defensively for a coach would be that you could also get busted open doing that and give yourself no hope in the last quarter.
Scored 1 goal since after 2 minutes of the first quarter, Brian. They're going to try something.
Spoken like a potential coach, perhaps even one that is on the dotted line, out wide. Fletcher, sorry about that, Gary. Whitnell, Allen, the standing start. Favola, can he do it? No. Off hands, McCormack with a little kick out sideways. Help Murphy. Gee, he went in with the fingers and not the body, didn't he? Kick out wide now. Allen the chance. So all of a sudden, Carlton are getting numbers around the ball and winning the contest. Kick short, finds Murphy on the slide, and he can roost the ball, and it doesn't seem particularly wet at the moment. Goes the spiral. Off the side of the boot. Kurtafidi, some chance. Wait. Beautiful trap. McCormick almost going backwards as he tried to kick the ball forward. Hume tries to run it down. Picked up by Latham. Thought he still had Hume on all 2 feet and missed.
Out to Lappin, who'll come straight back in. Waite is all on his own at centre-half forward, but missed him. Murphy might see him. Now he decides to go. He looked up and kicked it straight down someone else's throat. Looked up and saw Waite with his arms stretched at centre-half forward. Couldn't have missed him. And just thumped it long and hard. Just said thank you on the breadbasket. Jared, you saw that?
I do. I just wonder whether he's not under instructions to get the ball into the goal square as soon as possible.
If he is, Jared, he's got to give it some air and give him a chance.
Off hands over the line and out of bounds.
Kicking the ball too flat, Gary.
To be fair, I think he miskicked it. It was a shank. But McKernan on the bench hasn't had much game time. Conditions don't really suit him. May still have a role to play.
Boundary throw in, half forward. 60-32 in favour of Adelaide. Carlton have controlled the last 5 minutes. Slippery, Kurtafidis. Handball, here comes John Cock. Got 4 today. Been really good. Striving for the win. He does it at ground level, John Cock. Around the body. Ronnie Burns, Carey's there as well. He slips over. Out of the contest, regains his feet. Almost possession. Kurtafidis, cool. Fletcher, just get it forward. You can hear Dennis Pagan shouting the instructions. Whitnell bundled off the ball. McLeod trying to sweep it forward. Shirley spun out of the pack as Waite ties the tackle with the help of Camporelli.
Young Brad Fisher's now at full forward, so they've got Fisher, Favola, Lappin in the forward 50.
Dennis Pagan there along with Tony Elshaw. Adrian Gallagher in the front row on his left. Ball knocked wide. Carlton down by 28 points. Burton, did he put it over deliberately? I said no. Burton laughs.
32 plays 60, 2 minutes left on the clock. Fletcher, Camporelli's been good today. He squeezes the kick out up towards the half-forward flank. McGregor and Whitnell. Whitnell tries to flick it back inside. No one running onto it though as Edwards picks up for the Adelaide Crows. He goes to the half-forward flank position. From behind McKay flew. No one stayed down except for this man, John Cock. He wants goal number 5. He runs in and misses. Puts it out of bounds on the foot.
Classic piece of roving. He was the only one who elected to stay at the back of the pack. His man went forward, and that was an opportunity that should have resulted in a goal. There's his man, McKay again, committed to the spoil.
A couple of times he's gone and left his opponent on the ground, and 4 goals to his name, as I said, on a low-scoring day is a pretty good return.
Mighty Mick gets the kick in, but Clark puts it straight back. Mick with a big punch. No, he couldn't get over there. It's been a mark. Ronnie Burns somewhere in amongst it all. It just fell into Burns' arms.
Yes, there's a bit happening off the ball as that footy came in. Once again, I think you'll find that Carey here is getting grabbed there by Beaumont. And Mickey Martin, what was he doing there, Jared? Is he a chance to get there and get a fist to it?
Carey having a break, by the way, boys.
And I think it's a good move. If he was going to do a soft tissue injury, he'd be right now.
Burns' second kick for the day is a goal to the Adelaide Crows.
I reckon that's the game, and it's a good decision to get Carey off the ground. They just desperately don't need him to get another soft tissue injury. If he had to be spelled for another 2 or 3 weeks, it'd make it really difficult for him to get enough match fitness to have a big impact in September. And they're going to need for him to have an outstanding September if they're going to win the flag. But once again, another player who hasn't reached his best in Ronnie Burns, who could be significant in a couple of months' time.
So Adelaide have got their 4th goal of the quarter. Carlton just the 1. And with just under a minute remaining, Jared.
Camporelli head-to-head, toe-to-toe with McLeod. 2 of the Jets up against each other.
A minute in the 3rd quarter. And there is McLeod in and under. Wayne Carey off the ground. Would he be rested for the rest of the game, or just a rest of some moments?
I'd be taking him off. There's nothing to be gained now by bringing him back onto the ground. He's done enough. He's been impressive. You give him a rest, and all of a sudden he tightens up.
Surely the more football, the better, though, Jared?
Over a period.
Right. Ball, defensive half for the Blues. Clark Gallagher, Beaumont closing. Elected to try and soccer rather than possession. Good decision in the end. Camporelli couldn't quite get there. Waite can feed it out to that man. Unable to do so. Edwards spent a lot of this quarter on the bench, has come back on and got it to Laddams. Bit of open ground here for the Crows. Look at the chisel and pass. Finds the root. That skipper, Rashudo, on the lead. And he will kick after the siren here. And he'll have to hoik it all of 52, 53 metres.
Laddams has had an impressive day, Brian.
Indeed he has. Kicked a goal in the first quarter. And Laddams has had plenty of it since.
One player on the ground who would be capable, it would be Mark Rashudo from here. It's been pretty dry. I don't think it rained at all this quarter, so that ball shouldn't be heavy at all.
To make it a game-high 40-point margin at three-quarter time, Rashudo has to be successful. 3 Carlton players stand the mark there, as you can see. And Rashudo, not a lot of wind here. It's just all about rain and the uneasiness underfoot, I guess. As Rashudo comes in, we'll have to give it everything. Right on 50, kick on the way. That is beautiful! 40-point, three-quarter time lead to the Crows, and they're excited.
Final nail in the coffin, no doubt about that, and the Adelaide boys are enjoying it. 40 points in these conditions against a side who's just kicked 4 for the afternoon. Well, it would be one of the comebacks of the season. Assistant Peter Curran.
Thanks, Gary. And you took Peter, you took Wayne Carey off. Was that for a spell?
Yeah, just to give him a bit of a break. It's pretty torrid conditions out there, and just to freshen him up a bit for the last quarter.
He had a long discussion with Gary Ayres at that huddle. He's back on now. Will he play out the game?
Well, we certainly expect him to, but at this stage, we're trying to rotate because it is a pretty heavy day.
And good way to finish off that quarter is Shudo nutting that goal.
Captain's goals are pretty important.
See if you can finish it off.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks, Pete.
And we've finally got it, Gary. We've got the matchup.
We have Mickey Martin and Wayne Carey down in the goal square in front of the Carlton cheer squad. I think they were down that end of the ground. So if nothing else, that will keep our interest, boys, for the last quarter. 40 points is the margin. A couple of goals to Carlton might make it a little interesting. But Mickey Martin on Wayne Carey. Premiership mates, of course, from the days of the Kangaroos.
Gary, the Blues have got 166 possessions in this game. Their lowest this year has been 222, and the lowest last year 247. So it could be their worst day out as far as possessions for a long, long time.
Adelaide starting the final quarter in advance of Carlton by 40 points. And Carey.
That was the banner beforehand. The Crows may have Wayne Carey, but watch out, Duck. Mick Martin is very scary.
Was Wayne spelt right there? Sure. Might have a look at that as the ball goes forward for the Blues. And Whitnell has got it. The free kick going his way. And the attention will be the other end in this quarter as well, with Wayne Carey finally getting the opportunity to play on Mick Martin.
Do you think Wayne's scared
of Mick?
Yeah.
Not after what I read in the paper with Glenn Archer said. Glenn Archer doesn't want to have a whack at Wayne Carey. I don't think there are too many in the competition that want
one of the best in the ring of all time, I reckon.
Whitnell. 49 metres out, kick on the way. He'd want to be good. There's been some good ones around, Ed.
He's pretty good.
Edwards. Hart. The kick out towards the scoreboard side of the ground. Koutafidis. Straight into the microphone there. That Adelaide player. And Anthony Koutafidis there. In the final quarter of football, Adelaide by 40 points. And there is the microphone that has been
upended.
Yeah.
We'll hear any planes flying over
Looking
anyway.
like a dangerous object there at the moment, isn't it?
Here's Hart, grabbed, thrown to the ground. It was a beautiful tackle, picked up by Fletcher, around the body, a high up and under. Not much distance, good luck marking that, but there it is. Good play, Big Blance. Best man at his brother's wedding during the week. Lance's kick over the top to Lappin. Keeps his feet, kicks it inside 50. Here's a chance now. Fisher!
Good grab. Good sticky fingers, Brad Fisher.
They like him down at Carlton with good reason. He can go to the full forward line, presents himself really well, and much better, I think, to see a forward leading out of the goal square. On this occasion, it's Fisher against Nigel Smart. Gives him some experience playing out of the square.
Yeah, first-year player. In his 8th game, has kicked 10 goals. Was taken at pick number 72 in the draft from East Burwood. Played in last year's Eastern Rangers under-18 premiership side, so he knows a bit about it. Been nominated for the National Bank Rising Star, and he splits the middle and gives the Blues something to cheer about. His first.
And they're going to have to be very good at finding these talented players, as Barb would agree. Given their salary, given their draft restrictions over the next year, they're going to have to just find some superstars that the rest of the competition don't rate. And at 72, if that's where he's been taken, Ed, he's one.
Yeah, as he said, he's an Eastern Ranger boy that played in their premiership team, so that is a great sign for Carlton supporters.
Carlton kicked just their second goal of this second half. In the middle of the ground, Allen It is about to rain very heavily. We get the feeling here at Optus Oval. It's dark and it's dingy.
Get the arc ready.
Could well be the end of the world.
It could indeed. It's heading this way. It's coming straight over the top of the Carlton Social Club stand, and I reckon it'll be here in about 4 minutes.
If it's not, you can see it from here.
That ball was meant for Wayne Carey and Mick Martin. It just drifted off out of bounds on the full. The breeze may have picked up a little.
Yeah, it's now a Zephyr.
Mick hoists it in. McKay. Franchino the clean-up. Murphy on the run, able to get one forward to half forward. Lance was in front, but the bounce beat him. There's the other redhead. Hickmott hasn't had the greatest of days. Lance around on the left. Fisher couldn't get a run at that time. Bassett. Jared Healy in the last line of defence.
You just got to find targets on the way out as he did there, and he's a far better player.
In the meantime, have a look at this. Finding targets, the Crows. Perry takes a strong mark at half forward. Shirley's on at centre half forward. Fourth touch for Perry. Decides to kick along. It goes over the head of Carey.
Gee, it's a good kick, Eddie.
It's a beautiful left foot kick.
I mean, everyone would have had eyes on Wayne Carey then, and they might have thought that he missed the target. He was going for Chris Laddams.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that.
Laddams has had a good day. He's had 10 disposals. This is his 11th coming up. Kicked the big goal in the first quarter to get them going. And Laddams from tight on the boundary line, the left footer, tries to bend it right to left and has done so, but not through the goals. It's a point.
And I reckon Wayne Carey, well, he's kicked hundreds of goals in his career, but if there was one he would like to kick him, just for memory's sake, it'd be one in this quarter on his old mate.
Yeah, we know Mick likes to play on his direct opponent. Look at the kick in there as Perry marks.
Mick will be telling me he held him goalless in the last quarter too.
Absolutely. That will be a real contest within the contest there as Perry just lobs it in front. Here they come. Carey underneath the pack. Good example of what you spoke about earlier in the game, how he's unable to get above the pack these days. Burns, off hands, around the corner. Fletcher was able to cut it off for the Blues and work it out Social Club side. Lance arrives late. Stenglein, McGregor and Perry all combining. From 60 metres out to the hot spot. The fly, nothing on. Fletcher, straight down the throat of Rashudo. Now he kicked one after the siren at three-quarter time from this exact distance. And he's probably got the protection of the stand here as well. So you would think if he's able to get the full body behind the ball, he will go the journey. Mark Rashudo, just the one goal. That one after the three-quarter time siren. And a chance for his second goal of the day. 7 kicks, 11 possessions in all for Mark Rashudo. He's unsure about the drop punt or the torpedo, or is he just...
That's how he holds it. It's an unusual style.
Okay, Rashudo on the way. Distance, not a problem. Accuracy is just the minor score there for Mark Rashudo. 11.874 Adelaide to Carlton 5.838.
It is a belting kick, Mark Rashudo.
It is an unusual style, though, the way he holds it flat and then just tilts it at the end. But he's a great kick.
Camperelli from full back winds up and goes for the torpedo. Gets the distance, but didn't really get onto it.
It's effective, though.
Yep, McCormick. Fletcher just thumps it on the boot. It's going to come straight back. It's all Crows out here. Burton takes the mark. Has John Cock wide, and they're wide open now with Rashudo further up the field. Stenglein also there. He decides to go over the top, looking for and finding Laddams. This time on the right side for a left footer, as Lou used to say. Tough equation though for him. He's right on the boundary line, as you can see, just on the 50 metre. No lead, so he's going to have a shot. From about 48 he comes in. It's a thumping kick. It's a beautiful kick.
It's a goal, is it?
He's put it through. It's a magnificent kick. Laddams gets his second. Is anyone back on the line?
No, Wayne Carey was there with Mickey Martin, but I'm not sure where Matthew Allen was, the Carlton ruckman, but it was a lovely kick, as you said. And he has been pretty good, Chris Laddams, nice and tidy. Yeah, I think it would have got there anyway. Yeah. Jared Waite was the player making the lunge. All interest now on the Carey-Martin duel. We want to see them get that one on. We want to get that ball in the general area.
42-point advantage for Adelaide after the Laddams goal. His second. In the middle, Biglands. Prosciutto. Over the top of it there. Eccles.
Gary, if Wayne Carey stays fit and continues to improve, and everybody else in Adelaide stays fit, how do you see them come September?
Look, I think they're a genuine chance, Jared. They have been there. They've got enough good players. They've got enough class that can lift them up. And he might be the wild card.
Mark Stevens has got to get right and get back into the team.
Stevens is a very important player. I think Burton's been so important. Ronnie Burns gives them another little dimension down there. So if they can get their players up and their list nice and healthy.
Don't forget Simon Goodwin also to come back into this team.
Yeah.
Adelaide have won 4 of their last 5 if you count today, and they've got Richmond and Essendon both at Football Park in the next 2 weeks. So looking pretty good at Adelaide to set themselves up beautifully for the September action. Wait. But don't argue on Smart, will never work. Hart goes in, we'll have another ball up. Players very tired, as you heard Michael Roberts say. At 3/4 time, conditions have been pretty heavy out there for the players who are not used to running in these conditions with the likes of Telstra Dome around these days, fully protected stadiums.
Low scores in danger, Brian.
Wait, indeed. Burton marks off the half-back line. Now, the Crows need some fluency going forward and some clear ball if we're going to see Carey and Mick Martin fighting for the ball in the air. Tyson Edwards taking plenty of time. Just all of the urgency and intensity gone out of this game momentarily. Over the top, Laddams, McLeod, look at the pick-up, the handball.
That's an example of what I was saying. I reckon about 5% of AFL players could do what he did there. Just have a look at this. Still running almost flat out, picks it up, doesn't lose his feet.
And still going forward where you're saying that someone else would have to turn sideways.
Most have to get to the side and then you end up putting side steps in and you lose your pace.
Yep, great point. Something in that, Jared. You should take a closer look at it.
Yeah, we just saw an example of Nigel Smart run right over the top of it for that very reason, I reckon, Jared. Not sure we'd ever get a replay of that because it was no highlight, but older player, no flexibility.
That's got to be a free kick to Matthew Allen, and it is.
So big Matty Allen gets onto a torpedo up towards the wing position. Plenty of Crows there. Front and square is hard. He picks it up and goes long, looking for Carey, who comes out on the burst. Hume stood his ground, then tackled by Burns. It comes out to John Cock. He was looking for goal number 5, and he had a man in the square there, Clark, he could have kicked to, but he missed.
This stage of the game, Gary, is that every man for himself up there on the forward line.
It's looking a bit like it, Jared, but...
Well, John Cock won't die wondering. He's kicked 4 goals, 1 and kicked 2 out before.
There's a chance to repay the man that had given him a couple, I thought then, Wayne Carey inside, but we've got to get something to spark us, boys. This is just playing itself out.
As if on cue, as Dennis Committee would say.
Oh, dear, really.
All right, so there's the attempt by Burton, and he normally does that once a week.
He actually factors into his tax return the fact that he'll win a car every year. And that was his first attempt. I'll tell you what, that handball would have come at the Kangaroos, Gary. He's still got some stripes to him, obviously, at the Crows.
Yes,
Wayne Carey.
Yeah, drawing the footy, it's called.
Him in the head, that ball. Camporelli around the body. Got up to centre wing. McGregor will be happy to see it.
That's a deliberate, Jared.
Yeah, that was deliberate.
Deliberate.
Stop, come on. Being a bit carried away with the rules these days.
Oh, it's a throw too, Brian.
Couldn't stop. It's a wet, slippery ball.
You've got
He
to
had
do your
trouble
best to
picking it
keep
up.
it in.
Turn it up.
You just said before there's only one person that can do it, and that's McLeod.
You'd have to throw it over the boundary.
Oh, Eccles in there. Wish I had the time to keep going with this, but we must get on with the game.
Brian thought Ivan Milat had a case.
Look at this for a ball.
Prosciutto. Burns long with McKay. No winner. Just the minor score there. Just under 11 minutes remaining in the game.
Ronnie gets through this game. Probably the most important thing now is Adelaide are able to keep their playing list intact. They don't want to lose a Ronnie Burns or a Carey or anyone really, but these guys coming back from injury.
Now, is fitness more important here for the likes of Carey, or preservation more important?
Preservation for mine. He's gaining no fitness, holding on to a spot in the goal square.
So Camporelli brings the ball out. 19,242 here today, and He's got 33,000 members, so it's a disappointing crowd. Here's a chance now for Mickey Martin. He goes up. John Cock, he wants that number 5. And has he got it? He's got it. It's a goal to Graham John Cock.
Well, he's got 5, and that is a great return for Graham John Cock. He started his career primarily as a back pocket and has worked his way up the ground, and now he's got a return of 5 goals. Just, again, gives him a different dimension, the Adelaide Crows. A bit more danger going forward. Small coming forward with Ronnie Burns in the wings. I like him. I like Graham John Cock. Yep.
50 points. The margin with the John Cock goal number 5. McLeod. Edwards over the top to the run of Burton, who is knocked up getting it today. Hart will drive it in the Carey direction. Sold the dummy. Went close. It is. Whoever wants to kick a goal can line up now. That is the Adelaide rule. Walsh. But McKay steady in the back pocket. Now got a bit of space here, the Blues. Camporelli needs a good sitting ball. He's got it. But a loose player inside. Ignored that. Went wide. Out there towards Bickley. Around the corner and a high ball. Rashudo. McKernan and Koutafides there. The ladder. Able to pick it up. Kick it forward. Mark been taken. Fisher. Long ball. No one home. Lance. Makes Bassett earn it. Carey off the ground.
Disappointing finish from Fisher. His vision just didn't extend itself wide enough. He just looked forward. He had looked off to the right. Lance Whitnell was on his own, some 20 metres away, and kicked straight to Lance Whitnell's man. And I think that'll be the afternoon for Wayne Carey.
Gary, is that because of the propensity to go for the Pagans paddock? It's just Chatterise and kick it long, and the Crows have been able to get players back to nullify it?
Yeah, look, I reckon there's also got to be scope within any team to look wide and have some flexibility, and that was just a poor choice, I thought.
Well, he's got Velcro in his hands, that Blake McLeod. Did you see that? He just pushed it along in front of him. He just it's like a vacuum cleaner on the end of his hands. Beautiful kick straight down the throat of Massey, who's had a very good return to Optus Oval today, the one-time Carlton player. 13 touches, but he's been very good. Kicking's been excellent today. He's kicked one behind, and this would just about wrap it up for him. 5 marks, 2 inside 50s.
Looks like he's got himself really fit. If you just have a look at the shape of his legs at the moment, they are finely tuned. And he's running well. Gary, you said he looked like he just grabbed a bit of extra speed. He's built his upper body strength up considerably there.
Was originally a first-round pick.
Number 8 for memory.
And Rising Star nominee in 98, traded to Carlton in the 2001 draft. He would have kicked at training 1,000 times at these goals. He should have kicked 1,001.
You're very taken with him, Gerard.
Yeah, what
the shape of his legs there.
What is finely tuned about them, Gerard?
I just reckon that you see them. They are look like runners' legs.
Yes, they are. He's looking good.
Well, they actually do an awful lot of cycling over there. Charlie Walsh has been their fitness advisor over there, so he may well have been on the bike.
Neil Brooks is their swimming coach.
Yeah, exactly.
Going all right.
So they've prepared them so if they don't win the flag, they will win the triathlon.
He's certainly Strathans. Here's Hume. Beautiful play. Nice vision and nice skill on that occasion. Knocks up trying, doesn't he? He's fantastic. McKernan gets the Bronx cheers. Bit hard. He's been on the bench most of the day. To wait at centre-half forward. Took off, then found a bit of space. He went to kick to Whitnell, but Whitnell had fallen over. Been that sort of day. Favola goes to ground. John Cock heads to the boundary line. Now he picks it up. He's got plenty of space to give it off to McGregor, who's had a good day as well. Up to Perry. Oh, he's decided to come off the ground. We'll have a throw in. And look at this.
It's a timely exit, isn't it?
I said, oh, that was embarrassing. I'll go.
Don't think that gate was locked when it should have been. The push on it opened, so he said, well, I'll keep going. Rashudo knocked to the boundary line. And we'll have a boundary throw in. So 7 minutes remaining in the game now. And Adelaide are going to go on and record their second victory in a row, 4 of their last 5, and they've got Richmond next week.
222, round 1, their lowest disposals for the season. We think they might have that 201 at the moment. We think they've got that covered, the Yellow Blues.
Yep, they have. And confirmation through. McCormick Another ball up here. So this game petering out at the moment. And
Nice and dark out there.
real Melbourne conditions in the winter, isn't it?
Yeah.
So look at the
Pretty dark
Nice
in
and
there
dark
as
in
well.
there.
box. Lights off.
Just can't help but be impressed when you consider they've got Goodwin and Stevens. I'm not sure if Mark Stevens has won at best and fairest. He's certainly been right up there. I think he was equal best and fairest on one occasion, but Goodwin certainly has. Two top 5 players to come back into this group.
Yeah, and well, they've got a beautiful mix too, all over the ground, of players who can find the footy. There's some nullifiers. Brett Burton's form today continues on from where he left off a couple of weeks ago. McLeod was spoken about. Hart's just rock solid. Shirley, a young bloke. So they're introducing new talent still, and they are shaping up nicely. Mind you, I think the opposition today has been pretty disappointing.
Yep. Edwards out of the pack, over the line, out of bounds once again. Carlton Social Club flank. We'll have another boundary throw in.
Jared, just on that, second in the best and fairest, Mark Stevens in 2001, third in the best and fairest, equal third in 2002. So right in amongst it, of course, a premiership player in 98.
What about the Blues, boys? They've got Melbourne next week. West Coast at Subi after that. As Clark gathers the ball, drills it inside 50, long ball, setting themselves. Welsh comes through for the minor score. What do you see Carlton place at the moment, Jared and Gary?
Well, they're at the foot of the table, and they're a side with a lot of young kids in it, so their output's going to fluctuate, but they'd be bitterly disappointed. I think there's a view here that perhaps they turned the corner somewhat against the Tigers.
Well, Jared, they've had 3 wins. Unless they get a priority pick, they don't get in the draft. 4 wins they've had, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. That might be the worst thing that happens for them.
If they were to win 2 more games, it would break their heart, Will.
That's not being facetious. They've just struggled. They've just struggled, Carlton, today, and they've had no real positives. Camporelli probably the only winner on the ground.
I mean, look, obviously they're going out to play to win all the time. We're not even contemplating anything other than that. But if they get a first-round pick, you can trade, you can do something with it, get a good young kid. So that'll be a very important priority pick if they don't win another 2 more matches. In the meantime, Thornton kicks it out and it's going to come straight back in. Graham Johncock is having a day out at Optus Oval. 18th touch, 5 goals over the top. And Burton stood there for about 10 minutes. And Burton will go back and have a shot.
2 best players on the ground, Burton and Johncock.
31st touch coming up for Brett Burton.
And he's a hard matchup, isn't he? I mean, if you get him down in that forward line, at least you can double team him with some midfielders that push back and close up some space. But when he sits out on that wing, you just have to be one-on-one. He's hard to match up on.
31 today, 29 last week. Not a bad effort. He's just missed on the kick, through for a point.
I reckon another player that often in these one-sided games gets overlooked is Ben Hart, as we see the Blue supporters heading out. He reminds me so much of Bruce Doyle. Rarely makes a mistake, just keeps on performing week in, week out. He's done it for a decade or more.
Camporelli bangs it in from full-back. Eccles, the former Crow, advances the ball forward without any real great direction. Burton still going hard to the ball late in this game. Reminiscent of Nathan Buckley last night when the game was well and truly gone, still working to the last minute of the game. Murphy.
Goal square open.
Point of the square. Panic set up. Fisher unable to capitalise. They have had that. Oh, Smart's missed it. Fisher. There's one for a young man. 32nd off the corner.
Leo's got pace, this kid. He swoops on this like a seagull.
Is that what you're talking about with the cloud, Jared?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Nigel Schwartz was the bloke who ran it over.
He was.
Before when you were talking about it, he'd have a laugh at that, Nigel.
He's a laugh at most things.
He doesn't get too concerned about much, but good couple of goals for young Brad Fisher.
At least we got a highlight.
So Nigel Smart will be paying the fines at training this week when the boys get the video replays out. They had 1 player in the first quarter and 1 to end the game, but in between he's been pretty sensational today, as have the rest of the Adelaide Crows.
Indeed, Hume, Koutafidis, kick out wide to the contest between McGregor and McKernan. Laddams has had a bit of it today, and we'll have another ball up. The ball ups and the throw-ins have been the order of the day here at Optus in greasy conditions. Haven't had a lot of rain in the second half, but nevertheless there was enough deposited to make it difficult.
And speaking of rain, I think it's been such a foul day for the Blue supporters that they are going to get rained upon when they walk to their cars.
Yeah.
It is ready to go.
Waiting for that tram ride up Sydney Road here. Will be no fun tonight.
A few looking to avoid it with the early exit. Fletcher,
There we are, Mike.
Whitnall, Bickley. Was that Gary? Adams and Massey, handball over the top. Runs it out, nearing the boundary line. Beautiful presentation by Perry. There's a bit of a look at what's on the ground in the way of water.
Good leap, this kid.
He's another one, Jared, that come September.
Yep.
I mean, he has to attract a really good defender, and it's going to be hard for sides to come up with 3 or 4 really good defenders. If you've got Perry, Carey, Stevens, and 1 or 2 others, and it's difficult matchups.
A big win for them today, boys. This will take Adelaide into 4th position. They've got a fantastic percentage.
Well, that is the other important issue, isn't it?
They're going to the top 4, and the percentage will be boosted significantly today. It's a very big percentage boost here. 91 plays 44. And that'll set them up. Today's been an 8-point game for them as far as percentage and the 4 points is concerned. And as you said a bit earlier, they've got a pretty good run home. Burton around the corner. Laddams.
It's getting dark. Can't see it on the TV.
Gallagher.
But it is black.
It is. Rasciuto has the ball at half-forward flank. Brings it into Shirley, who's had a good day today. Shirley kicks it inside 50. Welsh wants to get amongst it. He's got to push in the back for a Mick. No, says the umpire. Out comes McKay. Here's Burton, who's suffering from leather poisoning today. He's had it that often. High up and under. Try and mark that one. Up goes John Cock. He made a pretty good attempt at it. Mick just doesn't want it. And over the line it goes.
Mickey Martin, as we have a look at this match fact, it's the lowest score ever, 1991.
And it's 6 goals, 8 at the moment. So it looks like another
inglorious
result today for the Blue Baggers, who started off so well, kicked the first 2 goals of the game. We looked like we're in for something, and that was about it. Gallagher over the top, sets up Bickley. Bickley looks forward and decides to kick it long, looking for guess who? John Cock again. Well played by Hume, beautiful play, stays in play for Hume now. He gets another kick, the kick was smothered though. Surely a free kick, was it? Umpires call play on, and a point is given to the Adelaide Crows as John Cock kicks his second behind of the quarter.
That score of 6-8-44 for Carlton is currently the second lowest score by any side this season. The previous lowest was 5-12-42 by Essendon when they played Richmond.
Just having a look at the frees for and against. It's been, from my reckoning, 4 free kicks in the second half of the match.
Well, the Blues only need 1 more possession to go past their lowest, and there it is. So they've beaten that record anyway.
Well done. They've nailed a few records today.
Here's the paddock.
Hasn't broken too many of them. The paddock's on, and Whitnall a mark, and give to Lappin, and Lappin can run to space. He decides to walk and kick his first goal of the game in the last 30 seconds. Blues have got 3 in the last.
Well, this is effectively how Dennis Pagan wants it to work. Ball hasn't come in quickly enough too often, I think, to test it out. And we've spoken about players who perhaps have got a lack of pace up in that forward line to make it work, but I think the key issue has been that it just hasn't travelled in there often enough or quick enough.
So inside the last 30 seconds of play, it's been a big day for the Adelaide Crows. They lead by 42 points. Burton, another touch. Gallagher up to centre half forward. Time for 1 last go for the Adelaide Crows. Tawney gets it out. Perry's there. And that'll just about do it here as the umpire calls for a bounce. Doesn't call for time on. And there's the siren to end the game here at Optus Oval.
42 points is a margin. I think for the statistically minded, it might be the third 42-point margin for the weekend, and a 43-point margin as well thrown in. So it was a comprehensive victory, no doubt about the Adelaide Crows. The fireworks between Mick Martin and Wayne Carey didn't eventuate. They didn't need to. It was a very comfortable victory, and he got through and was in pretty good form as well. Adelaide 13-14-92, Carlton 7-8-50. And Mickey Martin got through it all right as well.
And they won every quarter, the Adelaide Crows, in front of 19,242. They led by 4 points at quarter time, 18 at half, 40 points at three-quarter time, and 42 at the end of the match.
34 possessions to Brett Burton. I reckon he was best on the ground along with Graham Johncock, two younger players that have just emphasised the depth of talent. And speaking of depth, there's Wayne Carey, who Robbo's chasing his autograph from him. And here he is, Robbo.
Thanks, Jared. And Wayne, so important to come here and win, and Adelaide boys did it pretty well.
Yeah, look, that was the most important thing. Over the last couple of years, we've started not so well after the break, according to the boys and Gary Ayres. So, come to Melbourne on a day like today and get a win against a good side, and a side that had a good win against Richmond last start. Very good.
Corey came over and shook your hand, and Mickey Martin as well. You actually lined up on Mickey in that last quarter. Everyone's been talking about it all week. A bit strange to go down on him.
It was a little bit strange, but I mean, you'd like to think that the game was sort of over, hopefully, at that stage of the game. But to go down there and just to say that I've played on the great Mickey Martin, I'll be able to tell my kids one day.
And you came off, had a spell. Any reason, any soreness?
Yeah, no, I think Gary was being just a bit cautious. So, we've got 9 games to go. I've got to get through them yet.
Well done.
No, it's cheers. Thanks.
Good on you, Michael Roberts with Wayne Carey. 11 possessions to Wayne Carey, 3 marks, and his influence on the game was more profound than those statistics would suggest.
You love that assist stat, and I reckon he would have had 8.
Yes, I do love the assist stat, and he would be right up there. He was pretty important. He looked pretty fresh too, Jared, which is important coming back from injury. He had 4 goal assists in actual fact, which is
Plus how many goals himself?
Just off the top of my head, I don't
had
kick the goal.
0. He had 1 behind.
Just testing it.
But he would have had Graham Johncock not mark one in the 3rd row. So, been a big afternoon here at Optus Oval. Comfortable winners, Brian Taylor, 13-14-92 Adelaide, and the Blues 7-8-50. We'll be back to wrap up. And they were the mighty Adelaide Crows this afternoon here at Optus Oval. Very comfortable. Onto their scoreline.
Yeah, just a modicum. They smashed them, let's be honest. And John Cock was one of the major weapons with 5 goals, one of his best returns in his short career. Laddams is impressing. He continues to do well, and McLeod also. 3 multiple goal kickers. The Blues had a couple with Camporelli and young Brad Fisher in the last quarter.
Yes, and there was an early injury in the Adelaide camp, put a bit of a scare through the Adelaide people, I'm sure. Mark Rasciuto came to the boundary line, but he came back on, finished very strongly with Michael Roberts down the Adelaide rooms.
Well, Mark, firstly, the start wasn't flash for you. Copped a poke in the eye. How's that?
Yeah, well, it's not too bad. It got better at about quarter time, so, yeah, it wasn't too much of a hassle.
Now, a combination of Carey and McLeod, it just sweet to watch, and so many fans want to see that.
Yeah, well, we haven't had a real good run with injuries all year, and we've got a few back after the break. We've got Mark Stevens back in SNFL, Matty Bode there as well, so we've still got a few more to come back into the side, and if we can get everyone out there, we're going to be a pretty good side. So it's good to see Duck back in. He's been a bit unlucky with injury, but out there today took a couple of good grabs in the wet conditions, and hopefully he's going to have a better second half of the year. I
want to mention 2 other players. Brett Burton's just sitting down next to us here as well, and Graham Johncock kicked 5 in those conditions. Outstanding.
Yeah, well, Brett Burton was our leading goal kicker last year, and he's been unlucky with injuries as well. This is his second game back for us now, so he's only going to get better as well. And Graham Johncock's only a young lad who's getting better with every game. So there are some good signs in our side, and there's a bit of pressure on for spots, which is a good position to be in, and hopefully we can keep improving.
And you love this spot, Optus Oval, don't you, you blokes?
Yeah, we do play all right here. When I first started, coming to Optus Oval was the toughest mission in football, and we certainly got our fair share of buildings here, but over the last few years we've seemed to have conquered it and played quite well here, so we're happy to take the win.
Go get some more drops in those eyes.
Thanks, Mike.
56 points, I think, last year. The Crows beat Carlton by, and now 42. So they do enjoy coming here. It holds no fear. And their second half, they kicked 7 goals in the second half, and they're pretty impressive in doing it. Graham Johncock, as you said, he kicked 5 and was always going to be a bit of a dangerous proposition for Andrew Mackay, who was sometimes led to the footy, which left Johncock on his own and caused a few problems.
Yeah, he did. He's very talented. Andrew Mackay's been probably Carlton's best player all season. But he just got chopped up. The ball was coming in pretty freely, and Johncock stayed at the ground, at the bottom of the ground. Mackay continually left the ground and exposed him a couple of times. He's an exciting talent, though, isn't he?
He is, and I think the penny might have dropped for him today. I think he looked at that fellow in the number 2 Guernsey, Wayne Carey, and said, well, he might not be the player that he once was, but if I hang around him long enough and don't get too far away from him, he's going to give me a few opportunities.
He'll do me. And I guess the other one who can make hay while Wayne Carey is up there is Ronnie Burns. You see there Carey just taking 2 or 3 players, as you've said a couple of times, Gary, and Burns got on the end of an easy chest mark.
Marcasciuto, as we mentioned, went off the ground early in the game but came back on this. I think one is on the 3/4 time siren. Beautiful kick of the footy, a bit of an unusual grip as you say, but that one didn't look like missing. We're right behind it.
Very, very effective kick. He makes it spin. Laddams is another one that did pretty well. He got a couple of goals early, and another left footer. Geez, they just give you a lot more flexibility, left footers.
And I think we said during the call that Graham Johncock was not going to die wondering. He was going to have a crack at most things as they came his way this afternoon. And this one is, it's a typical opportunist goal. Did well there against Mickey Martin, who probably should have done better, really, and got that ball way into some space. Let's have a look at some match statistics. And it was comprehensive when you have a look at the possession tally. They just dominated.
They did. They handballed a lot more. Carlton are under instructions to get the ball long. Dennis Pagan doesn't like overuse of the handball. Clearances evened up pretty well. But this was a game, Gary, that reflected the 2 positions of both sides. Carlton is a top 4 or 5 side, and Adelaide a top 4 or 5 side, and Carlton, they're heading down the bottom.
I think you're dead right. 42 points was the margin. Adelaide, impressive winners. Their position on the AFL ladder will be enhanced. We'll take a break here at Optus Oval and wrap up what has been a big day of Sunday football. 7 goals was the eventual margin, and when you consider the conditions here at Optus Oval, particularly early in the game, that is a fair belting by Adelaide over a disappointing Carlton, who were only able to manage 7 for the afternoon. But take nothing away from the Crows, some of their stars were on show today, and with these conditions, Gerard, I think you said during the call, the good players can really put a distance between themselves and the rest of the pack, and Andrew McLeod certainly did that with the way he went about his business today. His ball handling was just clean.
I reckon the point you made, Gary, about good players in the wet conditions is a valid one. Tom Hafer used to say good players play well on the wet. And if ever one man proved the point, it was this bloke. He just is so balanced, and I reckon he's a player that needs a challenge to play at his absolute best, and we saw him trail off a little bit when the game was won. But when the game was in dispute, he was up there with the very best players for Adelaide. He's won a couple of Norm Smith medals in grand finals. He hasn't got much to prove as a player, but he just loves playing footy, and I think he's been inspired as much as anybody by having Wayne Carey there just to enjoy his footy with.
He'd be enjoying that. Brett Burton would be enjoying his football as well. He's had some injury problems over the journey, but set himself out on that wing today. He had 30 kicks, 4 handballs, and took 10 marks. Now that is an afternoon's work in anyone's language. The fittest player at the Adelaide Crows, we were led to believe, and he can run up and down that wing all afternoon.
I reckon the wing's a great spot for him. He's been tried up in those key forward positions and key defensive positions, but he's a runner. On the wing, he's got a height advantage and he's got a motor advantage. He's got great endurance. He's going to provide us with some great thrills on the wing with big leaps like that. May not kick all the goals, but he's going to produce.
He is indeed. It's been a big afternoon here. I think the Adelaide supporters would be happy. Hang around Adelaide viewers, second half action between
One, two, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay.
this afternoon.
Mulholland Drive, soon on Movie One.
We might be grumpy, but we have some fun.
I'm going to go backwards.
Go way back on Wednesdays when the legends of yesteryear reappear to tell it like it was on Grumpy Old Men.
Do you know I actually taught KB how to hand pass?
Tall tales to take away.
It was unbelievable.
So join Bobby, Tony, Dougie and me as we talk about old times, great times.
There would have been 100 head of sheep in that jump.
Cool. Grumpy Old Men, 8:30 Wednesday, exclusive to Fox Footy Channel.
Toss of the coin here. Optus Oval, Andrew Mackay and Mark Rasciuto. Cloudy day here, light rain falling moments ago. Would expect some this afternoon. And it is Mark Rasciuto who's won the toss and will kick the left of screen as I welcome for the first time this afternoon Brian Taylor. I'm not sure whether Eddie Maguire's been in the news or not, but Brian's been running around getting him coffee, cleaning his shoes. I'm not sure what he's been up to. Welcome, boys.
That is just not true, Gary, and I am looking forward today passing the faithfuls. We do see Mick Martin, but he's...
Yeah, what's a replay? Mick Martin went straight up to Carey. Look at that. They're at each other. They're in each other's face. Well, they're cracking gags with each other anyway. Brian, away you go.
But they're not actually playing on each other, so we'll keep an eye on that as the day progresses. Mickey Martin, in fact, has got Perry down there in the square as Carey is playing a roll up the ground.
Brett Thornton is the player who has gone to Wayne Carey.
Ball in the middle, Fletcher. Out, no clearance then until the Beaumont kick went forward. Lappin in space, has spent a bit of time in defence. The handball on, could be a good start for the Blues. They've got 3 running it down. Beaumont tests his soccer skills when probably a block and a shepherd would have helped him pick it up. It's going to free kick.
Is it back?
Classic Pagan's paddock, Jared, to start that game.
Yes, it was into space and all the Blues ran onto it. And just another free kick paid close to goal, which has been a rare sight so far this season. But since the break, it's been a regular. And there you see, pretty dumb move there from Nigel Smart, barrelling Scott Camperelli.
Probably had to go for it, though, with 3 bearing down on the ball. Camperelli to register the first score of the game at the Heatley stand in. And he has nailed it. Carlton off to a good start.
Yeah.